vlogs. Today we're going to be sharing with you not only how we Montessori at home with Stella, but also how we're raising her to be multilingual. So I do speak Russian with her at home and Dad speaks Korean. We do live in the US, which means that in the community the language is English, so she'll be exposed to 3 languages as she grows up. And in case you're new here, Stella is almost 10 months old at the time that we're recording this. So she's not fully verbal yet, but she does have a few words that she does say. So in recording this video, I am speaking English, which is not common for a house. So I'll be leaving in us speaking other languages, and I'll make sure to leave captions so you know exactly what we're talking about. Stella has already had her breakfast, and so have we. And I'll insert little clips of what she had. She had some pancakes and then a puree of mango, apple, and banana. She does have a mix of finger foods and puree still because some of the foods are still too difficult for her to be eating when they're in little pieces, so I'm doing a mix of those. So now we're just hanging out in her playroom. I got ready and now Daddy's upstairs getting ready. The weather is absolutely beautiful today, so we're planning to spend a lot of time outside. We're also going to be doing a barbecue outside soon. Stella has started trying to walk a little bit, so we're going to be practicing lots of walking outside on the sidewalk today as well. Ой, какая у тебя коробочка, покажи. Вот какая красивая коробочка. Стелла, попробуй свет включи. Хорошо, включили свет, теперь ручки будем мыть. Садись. Спасибо, моем ручку, спасибо. Вытираем ручку, помыли. Находим, надо выключить свет. Выключи свет, пожалуйста. Спасибо большое. Если ты можешь логотип твой кушать не будем, давай мы его застегнем. Давай мы его застегнем. Мама.
눌러봐. 손을 아주 깨끗이 닦아. 맨날 더러운 거 만지니까 손을 닦아야 돼 말아야지. 손을 아주 깨끗이 닦아. 말려야죠. 고객님, 온도 괜찮으세요, 고객님? 온도 괜찮고요. 자, 현금 3만 원입니다. 자, 그럼 이제 밥 먹으러 가자. 이거 눌러. 오이! 이거 조금만 더 할 수 있어. 이것도 할 수 있어. 에이 몰라.
Готова кушать, Стелла? На сегодня опять хлебушек, сырок и супчик. So our big project for this weekend was actually to set up a little entryway closet that's in our living room because it's so big and our mudroom is so tiny. And while we were at it, we went ahead and added a little spot for Stella, so we wanted to show you how we hacked that. So we ended up actually putting in a little teeny tiny tension rod in here, and it's going to be strong enough, at least for now, while she's so small and her clothes are quite light. So we didn't actually end up having to drill any holes or anything in there. And then we've got space on top to store all of our stuff. She's got a little tiny spot for her little booties, but inside we do have space for our actual clothes. Что ты там хочешь взять? Маракас. Вот что у нас тут нарисовано. Котик, собачка. Ой, побежали за другой. Ты хочешь потрогать страшку? Ой! Какая-то. Потрогай. Она немножко колючая. Немножко колючая такая травка, да?
헬라, 오늘은 부활절이에요. 부활절 잘 지키고 있어. 나 이거 잡고 일어나봐. 아빠가 뒤에 있어. 널 지키고 있으니까. 오이? 자, 이제 걸어가. 하나, 둘, 왼발, 왼발. 하나,
Now that the weather is nice, we're doing our favorite activity, which is making a barbecue right there. Right?
With Stella.
With little Stella. What are we having? 우리 뭐 먹어?
치킨.
어떤 치킨? 맛있는 치킨?
맛있는 치킨. 쭉쭉.
Пока-пока. Пока-пока. Пока. Пока-пока. Будем открывать? Будем опять открывать? Тяни. И раз. Молодец. Привет, привет. Пока-пока. Пока-пока. 아빠 왔네? 스텔라 밥 왔어.
아빠가 맛을 보여줄게. 아빠를 잘 봐봐. 하나, 둘, 셋.
오! 오? 스텔라 где папа?
너무 재미없어.
Неинтересно папа сделал. Ты знала, что папа там?
괜찮다고? 괜찮아? 자, 스텔라, 바깥 세상 구경하러 갈 거야.
Застройка опять скажет. Что вы здесь наделали? Это beauty. Это веточка, а вот это ствол. Это ствол, это как большая веточка, это большой такой ствол. Ой, колючие веточки более тонкие, да, более гладкие. Ой, кстати, надо очень осторожно. Очень тоненько. Очень тоненько. Давай посмотрим, у нас вон там есть. Уже листики начинают расти. Смотри. Хороший листик. Да, начинает расти хороший листик. Птичка-чик-чирик. А вот иголочка. Они очень колючие, осторожно. Ой. Ой, колется, не нравится. Ой. Ой. Колючая, колючая. Осторожно. Следишь за машинкой. Машинки поехали на зеленый, сейчас желтый. Осторожно и ой, звездочки какие желтые сейчас. Синие. Вот. Вот так у нас на коврике их видно. Ура! Ой, какая песенка красивая. Все? Музыка наигралась? So before we wrap up this vlog, I actually want to take a quick chance to not only give you some more information about who I am, but also introduce you to my husband a little bit more formally, and also let you know how it is that we met, because I've seen a couple of new people come to my channel who are also in a similar situation and are really excited to be seeing a similar family that is also interracial and international. So I figured it'd be interesting for us to share our stories of how we met and how we're getting along in raising our children. So definitely let us know in the comments below how you met your significant other and what it's like for you where you are living. Introduce yourself, please.
Hey, what's up guys? My name is Junyoung. I'm Maria's husband and Stella's dad. I met Maria in 2013 in South Korea. It was actually my birthday and my friend invited us as random strangers. Maria was one of them. When I first heard, like my friend invited foreigners, oh, it was really interesting. So yeah, go for it. And then she came over to my birthday party. We started dating and then eventually
we got married.
I had actually met his friends before I met him. So I was living in Korea teaching English there for a year. And at the time that I was in Korea, you were in America.
Yeah, I was in Alabama.
Yeah, so we were in each other's countries at the time. Anyone who's not Korean is called a foreigner in Korea. So as a foreigner, it was pretty common just to meet random people out and about. Everyone is very curious and wants to get to know you. So I met his friends when my friends and I were out. And so we got to know his friends. We were quite close, so we weren't complete strangers at that point. And they just let us know that one of their friends, so it was two guys and their third friend is going to be having a birthday and they wanted us to come over. And it was me and two friends, and actually that night I was supposed to just go to the gym and have an early night, and I wasn't planning to go anywhere, and they really convinced me to come out because otherwise it would be an uneven number. So I came in like sweaty clothes. I wasn't really prepared to be meeting anyone. As luck would have it, that was the day that I met the person who would be my future husband. And another interesting story, I've told you this before, it's actually exactly how my parents met. My mom was invited to be the third person in her group of two other friends who would be meeting someone whose birthday it was, and that ended up being my dad. So we have a very similar story between my parents and us. So if you've noticed in our vlog, what we do is one language, one parent. So we've talked, he's from South Korea, obviously. I'm actually from Belarus. I was living in Belarus until I was 8 years old. So Russian is my first language, just like Korean is his first language. So we're trying to keep that as Stella's languages. And living in the US, we figure she will pick up English very naturally once she goes to school, and just from hearing us speak it to other people anyway. So what is it like being the only person who's really introducing Korean to Stella?
Okay, so we tried to speak Korean at home, but it ended up being, like real Konglish in reality. So when I tried to speak Korean to Maria, for example, I tried to use very simple vocabularies. And sometimes I use Korean sentence with English words. It becomes really crazy third languages. So I try not to use English mixed language to Stella. I try to speak very proper Korean and teach her.
What's the hardest thing about trying to speak to an infant in your language when I don't fully understand everything?
So, I mean, it's just my personal thing, but there's no interaction, between me and Stella.
So there's an interaction, but there's no feedback. She's not answering.
Yeah, there's no feedback.
Yeah, it's not a conversation. It's a one-way.
We have a lot of Russian and English books, and sometimes it's really unnatural.
The hardest thing for you is, even though I speak and I know some Korean, I'm not fluent, but I at least understand basically what you're saying or some of the things that are written in Korean books. He obviously doesn't speak any Russian. He's picked up some words here and there, but it's definitely not any kind of fluency. So if Stella brings him a Russian book, it's either he has to remember what the story was about when I explained it to him, or he just uses the pictures to make up his own Korean story. And for now it's worked, but as Stella is getting older, she'll probably want you to be saying the exact same story each time. So you have to either remember what that story is, or we'll probably have to print out a Korean version of the story and just tape it next to the Russian language ones. From my perspective, the hardest thing that I've seen for you is knowing what to even talk about with Stella. So it's hard for you to really have any kind of conversation with her that's going to give her more vocabulary. It's hard for you to have like a very sophisticated conversation with her. So that's what I started doing, is that I'll try to talk to her about the news or what's happening in the world, or we'll go over to my parents' house. They live right next door, so her grandparents, and she'll hear us just talking about these more complex issues. And so we're throwing around more complex Russian words, but it's really hard for her to get exposure to the more complex Korean words, definitely. So I think as she gets older, you think it'll be easier for you if she's at least responding somewhat to give her.
I hope so. My goal is teach her Korean so she can communicate with my parents.
We're really hoping that in her learning Korean from you and learning Russian from me, we're able to get her to have more patience and to have more of an understanding of other people around her. By knowing multiple languages, it made me a lot more patient and a lot more open-minded to other people, and I'm hoping that in Stella knowing at least 3 languages as she grows up, she'll definitely have that kind of mindset as well.
If you have any other questions between us, then please let us know.
During COVID, at least we'll have some way to get to know other couples that are in a similar situation, so definitely drop us a note down in the comments below. Until next time, we hope you stay safe.